All this meeting. And we will start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, let the record show that Director Hofstad is not in attendance tonight. We'll go into the board chair comments and also say, yep, Christine, Dr. Weirkamp is also not here in attendance. Obviously, you can tell her she is actually, she got married this weekend, so she is on vacation. Imagine that. So she's spending some family time this week. And with that, I do have the superintendent's summative review and summary of conclusions that I need to read last week at our last month at our closed session. We completed it. So now I'm obligated just to read a couple minutes on what we have found. So bear with me. Our first goal was to begin to refresh the strategic plan for Royalton Public Schools. Proactively develop and implement steps, drafting a student-focused and forward-facing plan to carry the district into the next 3 to 5 years. Our board comments were Dr. Weirkamp Herman started the strategic planning in April 2022. 3 meetings were held and included a good cross-section of the community, which included parents, students, community members, staff, administration, and board members. Approximately 80 different individuals have participated in strategic planning. The board is excited for the progress and commend Dr. Weirkamp Herman for including all of her leadership team and staff as presenters. The goals set during the strategic plan will be the basis for aligning resources to accomplish these goals. The second part is a governance team, and it kind of goes along with the goals of the strategic plan. Dr. Weirkamp Herman has led the development of the strategic priorities. The action steps and success measures are in progress and will be completed and ready for board approval by the fall of 2022. Additional discussion will include how funds and resources can be spent to support these goals. The next area is under curriculum and instruction. Dr. Weirkamp Herman continues to implement high reliability schools across elementary, middle school, and high school. Principals and the superintendent had walkthroughs across buildings in order to create consistencies across buildings. Fast bridge assessments will be added to the middle school to ensure that the teachers have information on student success so instructions can be tailored to ensure standards are being met. And the final area is culture of cooperation. Dr. Weirkamp Herman has implemented a team approach to leadership. She has created multiple leadership teams that regularly meet and include participants from across the district, which include principals, district leaders, union leaders, teachers, students, parents, community members, and businesses. All participants are welcome and encouraged to share their ideas and wisdom. Dr. Weirkamp Herman has decentralized decision-making. Authority has been distributed across her leadership team. Overall, as a school board, we are excited and happy with the progress Dr. Weirkamp Herman has made in the 2021-2022 school year. All right, approval. We'll move on to number 5, approval of agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, a motion has been made by Director Bauman and seconded by Director Hackett to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 5-0. Then we will move into item 6, recognition of citizens for input purposes. This is the time when anybody from the public can speak to us, to the school board. Again, just remember to keep your comments directed towards the school board. Don't make comments towards specific individuals. You'll have 5 minutes. That's good. Is there anybody that would like to talk to the school board tonight? Nobody wants to talk to us. That's understood. All right, we will move on then to reports and news. Board committee reports. Did you guys have a policy meeting?
Yeah, we did.
You want to talk about it, Randy, or you do? Okay.
Everyone's here.
I'll talk about finance. We did meet last week, Tuesday, for finance. Really kind of started talking about the new year. There's not a lot of things there yet, right? They're just building out budget. A little talking about the end of last year's budget as well. Everything is looking good. We're not going to be in the negative. We should be right at that 0 mark wherever we want. So the finance went, right now we're sitting in a good spot. So.
Okay, all right, talk about policies.
Perfect.
So, we met, and number 103 is the way that we're going to handle complaints for students, employees, parents, and other persons. We're adding this policy because it gets referenced in policy number 423, which is a new one. And number 423 is employee-student relationships. We had the first reading on that back in May. We're going to wait until number 103 passes before we move that one forward. Number 613 is graduate requirements. We're gonna leave this one. We're gonna keep it in committee. We're working with the staff, and the staff's working with strategic plan. We have some parallels to MSBA, but we also have some higher requirements that Minnesota has, and the conversation being had whether we really need that or not, because by having the higher requirements is limiting the amount of electives that the kids can have. So that's going on into conversation. 616 is school district system accountability. We're gonna wait for the next meeting to get more people there. Yeah, and then the student transportation meeting. Marge wasn't able to make the meeting, so we're just gonna hold that one too. So it's kind of summer policy. It kind of slow. So that's what we got.
Questions for myself or Randy at all?
Had a slight report on Mid-State. Lisa Devereaux has taken charge now as our new superintendent there. And she's doing quite well. However, our IT fellow resigned, so that's kind of not good news, but they're actively looking for someone else. We also have had quite a few discussions on some of the policies too, that are kind of specific to Mid-State. It's not the same type of policy that we use in the regular school system, and our enrollment is going up exponentially. I guess there's a good side to that, but then it's kind of we've got to get more teachers on board, we've got to get more staff in the schools. So those are things that we're kind of looking at too.
Is the outlook that it's going to stay high, or is it a bubble because of
I
COVID,
see, I don't know that, Randy. If you can tell me, it's like a lesson plan, they say there's 5 kids coming, right? And then they say the needs are higher and highest type thing. But you don't know that because suddenly mom and dad decide to move to Oshkosh or, whatever happens. So we don't know that exactly, but that is where they are right now. They are making room for these kids. So that's what it is. That's it.
Thank you, Mary. Questions for Mary? All right. We'll move to item number 8, which is the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped.
Okay.
Business and managers report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, Chair Jurens and members of the board. I'm going to pull up my screen here. It says the host is disabled participant screen share.
You're here.
Wasn't me.
Try it now.
There we go. Thank you. All right. So for fiscal year 22, so we're going to be talking about through the end of June here. Our original adopted budget for fiscal year 22 was 920. Enrollment as of June 14th was 917, and which is staying very consistent with our revised budget was for the second half of the year. Moving along to revenues, we can see revenues. We still have some work to do to as far as we're lagging behind in payments that are coming in from state general education aid, as well as we've discussed in prior meetings, the property taxes will all be going from the balance sheet to the correct revenue codes here as we do the end of year finals. Overall, we're doing very, very well. We're caught up on ESSER and title draws now through the end of 22, June of 22. And I think, oh yeah, the other thing is besides the regular payments from the general education aid, is the 10% holdback from that as well. So we receive the payments based on 90% throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, we will get that remaining 10% back as well. So we are in a good position there. Expenditures, you can see the number there is about $2.3 million higher than last year. And the majority of this has to do with HVAC project, other projects that we're using the rest of the construction money for the PMA funds, and then taking draws on the ESSER funding. And then finally, the extracurricular activities, we update that every month. And compared to last year at this time, we're about close to $149,000 more than last year. And that is primarily due to the fact that we're not being impacted by COVID, and all extracurriculars are essentially back to normal. And then finally, with MAP and Little Royals programs, MAP financials through June, you can see there $24,522 to the good. Little Royals is lagging a little bit behind. Primary driver for this right now is the end of year salary and benefits that were paid out in June. So it's making our deficit or the profit loss margin look worse than it actually is. I think we're still probably closer to that $12,000 to $17,000 range right now, which we projected. Any questions on the June financials?
Doesn't look like any questions, Dave. Thank you. All right. Item 8, consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the regular board minutes from last month, claims, accounts, and financials, resignation, new hires, and approval of leave of absence. Just to remind the board, any of those items you want to discuss and take out, we certainly can.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second this.
Motion was made by Director Bauman, seconded by Director Hackett. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda?
I just have one quick question on the approval of leave of absence. I see there's two people, one is requesting a full school year. What is the second request for how long the leave of absence is?
Mr. Cummings,
Oh, 10 days.
10 days.
Oh. Oh, okay, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I just didn't know when it would start.
Okay, no problem. Just curious, I was hoping it wasn't a year.
Right,
Not really,
right. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we have a motion made by Director Bauman and seconded by Director Hackett to accept or to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carries 5-0. Discussion, information, action items, approval of the bread, dairy, and fuel bids. And was this something, I don't know, does Dave help us a little bit with this to talk about it, or does that something, obviously,
I'm just trying to pull that up here.
I think this is something we haven't done for a year or two because of COVID, just 1 year?
Last week.
Did we do it last year?
Mhm.
And I know always one of the challenges is, right, for our area, you send it out for bid and you only receive 3 bids back, right?
One bid.
One,
Yeah,
well,
bid one.
3 bids, one for each one of them, right? Because there's also a fuel. one
Yeah,
that-
well, yeah, right.
They're all.
But yes.
It's one for each.
Right,
Oh,
It's all subject to Minnesota bid law, so I mean.
screen up here.
and it did a little looking too, this is not just our district, right? This was the other districts that I looked at as well, so.
Can you guys see the Word document?
Yes,
So the bid for fuel ended up going to Sarah, our Central Soda Co-op. Looks like number 2 diesel blend, oxygenated regular. These are all firm bids. If I remember right, most of these were, there was multiple bids sent out in each one of these, and I believe in each instance, there were singular responses to these. So the lowest bids, my understanding, were the ones that responded to the request for bid. Which is okay. So, so we take the bids that we've received and then we award as appropriate. Central Soda Co-op for the fuel. Then for milk pricing is Kemp's. Pricing is up from last year, not much, but it is still, as with pretty much everything in the commodities market. It's been going up. And then Panagold Baking for the bread is the winner on that one, the awarded recipient for that contract. Any questions on those?
I don't think there are any questions.
I'll motion to approve.
No second.
Motion was made by Director Bauman and seconded by Director Lane to approve the bread, dairy, and fuel bids. Is there any other discussion? All right, no discussion. All in favor of approving the bread, dairy and fuel bid, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstained? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is approval of the approval of the breakfast and lunch price increases for the elementary and secondary schools.
Right, so, with the, hopefully COVID, going away and hopefully staying away, is the return, to, students, families having to pay for their breakfast and lunches. So, we have to submit, we use a tool, through the state, that helps us to calculate a weighted average pricing. And then we are held to maintain a minimum with that. So our current weighted average price per meal was $2.60 this past school year, even though we were still on the summer food program, which made it free, but we still kept that current as far as what the pricing would have been. So then when we go ahead and do the calculation for next year, you can see our weighted average is $2.80. So with that being said, essentially all meal prices that you see on the lists identified here went up by 10 cents as compared to last year. The only exception would be the adult lunches, which we brought into alignment with MDE requirements for adult meal pricing, which as of last year, it was $4.60. They have not announced what it'll be for this coming year. But we for the purposes of getting the handbook out and get everything updated, we're going to go with the $4.60 for this year. It would not go down. If anything, it will probably be a little bit more, but we'll keep it up to $4.60. Any questions on the meal pricing?
Is the
Just-
program ended for sure then, or is that gonna continue?
It expired 2 days ago.
Dave, Director Roaring just she asked if the free meals, if that was going to continue or when it actually stopped. And I think Director Hackett said it ended 2 days ago.
It ended at the end of June, actually, and they came out with a further clarification saying the end of the regular school year. So not to include summer school, for example. Just as a frame of reference, when you look at our pricing compared to the rest of the state, the average weight, the state recommends an average weighted price of $3.31 per meal. So we are still considerably less than that. And we're still able to maintain a slightly profitable margin. And that margin is kept in place for those unforeseeables like inflation.
Right, the idea of the food program is just to be self-sustaining and not actually make money, right? You're not looking for a profit.
Correct.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Motion has been made by Director Roaring. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made by Director Roaring to approve the 2022-2023 breakfast and lunch price increase for elementary and secondary schools. Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing there's no discussion, all in favor of approving the breakfast and lunch price increases, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstain. Motion carries 5-0. approved student handbook in elementary, approved student handbook at elementary and secondary school. So this is something we've seen, a bunch of times. Also attached is the actual handbook for the elementary and the elementary and the high school handbook. I don't know, are there any questions from anybody? Don't like there's any questions. I will take a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to approve the student handbook of the elementary and secondary school.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded by, motion's been made by Director Hackett and seconded by Director Lane to approve the student handbook for the elementary and secondary schools. Is there any other discussion? Hearing no discussion, I will, yes, I will ask, I will. All those in favor of approving this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstained, motion carries 5-0. Great for it. It does a lot to me. Approval of donation by resolution. Is there a director that would like to introduce this?
I'll introduce.
Thank you. Member Bauman has introduced the following resolution and moved its adoption, whereas all information is included in your packet. Langola Township has generously donated $2,000 to the Royalton Community Education Program to help costs for any of the activities that they see the need. Whereas the condition on this gift is included in the packet, therefore be it resolved by the Royalton School Board to greatly accept the gift. The motion for adoption for the foregoing resolution was duly seconded by a member Hackett. And upon roll call vote being taken thereupon, the following voted in favor of. Do we have somebody who would like to call it? You'll call it? Thank you, Randy.
Director Bauman,
Aye.
Director Garretts,
Aye.
Director Hackett. Aye. Director Lane,
Aye.
Director Roaring,
Aye.
Following voted against. Nobody abstained. Foregoing resolution was approved on this 25th day of July. Thank you, Randy. Policy readings. You can see we don't have any in the third reading. We do have on the third policy, we have 722 as Randy talked about. I don't think you talked about these. You talked about the
I didn't
second
talk about
policy.
stuff. Overview.
Okay, so you can see those are all being reviewed. In the second policy reading, that's where Randy focused
Yep.
on 103, 211, 519, and 613.
I don't know.
I think we're good, yeah. Nothing, no. If there are questions or input, please send them to Randy, Ronnie,
Yeah.
or Mary, and can certainly
Yeah,
get them included. So take a look at it.
you know. It's good if you guys look at it before we start redlining them, because. I don't know, sometimes we get in the policy meetings and somebody says something and it channels everybody to think in one way. And if you guys who aren't exposed to that might read something in a different way. Just because it makes sense because you've been in the policy reading from the beginning doesn't mean that when a policy comes out that it makes as much sense to everyone else, so.
All right. That moves us to item 10, upcoming meeting schedule. Wednesday, August 10th in the AM, 9 AM, we have a policy meeting. Also on Wednesday, August 10th, from 6 to 7:30, we have a strategic planning committee meeting. Just to talk a little bit about that, to see if we can get anybody who's listening out there. The agenda for that meeting is again to obviously talk about the strategic planning process overview, review the vision and the mission statement, presentation of the core values, development of the strategic priorities, and begin a development of action steps. So again, that'll be August 10th, 6 to 7:30. I don't know, board members. Does somebody know that they will be there that would like to commit?
No.
Angela's gonna be there. I think I will be there as well. Unless if there's another member that wants to be there. So think about that. Tuesday, August 16th at 12 p.m. So noon, we'll have a finance meeting. Monday, August 22nd, we'll have a regular board meeting. And then end of August, August 29th from 6 to 7, we will have another strategic planning committee meeting. So 2 of those coming up in August.
I'll go to the one on the 29th.
Okay. And we will have another board meeting to discuss further as well, so. All right, is there any other dates, agenda, or meeting schedule that we need to talk about here for August? We thinking about the start of school by then.
No,
You don't think you'll think
we
about
may not be thinking about it. It'll be
Wait,
happening.
it? We'll be happy, maybe we hear before we know it.
You know, volleyball practice starts in what? Yeah.
Summer sports, or fall sports, yeah. All right, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. I got that one. Wait,
Yeah, four of
A
them.
motion was made by Director Lang and seconded by Director Hackett. To close the meeting at 7:30 or
Oh.
6,
We're not
to
close.
adjourn.
We're adjourning.
yeah, to adjourn the meeting at 7:32. So
Oh,
6:32, I'm sorry, man. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Meeting's adjourned, 6:32.